Hello, everyone. It is that time of year for the annual Big Boys League 2025-2026 edition of the Power Rankings. No one asks for this, yet I decided to do it anyway, just to create a little bit of engagement, possibly a little bit of back and forth banter, agreement, disagreement, whatever it is. It's fun to just have a little bit of engagement as we head into the season, and this is looking to be an exciting season as many teams' long laid plans are starting to come to fruition, and other teams are maybe at the height of their power, waning power. It's an exciting time. So, anyways, let's get right into it. Before I dive into the rankings, I always want to recognize what happened last year and celebrate Randy, the winner of the 2024-2025 season. So, congrats again to Randy. Second place was myself. Third place was Johnny. Rounding out the playoff teams, Brandon, Jeremy, and Anthony. And Sam won the consolation bracket. Also want to, this is a new edition, take a look at the all-time records and trophy room. So you can see here with the blue ribbons for first place, red ribbons for second place, and white ribbons for third place here. We're in our sixth year now, and so we have had 5 different champions. And so you can kind of see, it's still a little bit early on in the Dynasty League, so kind of makes sense that those teams at the top of the ranking here are also reflecting in the playoff stand-ins here. But huge shout out to Anthony Worth. He's leading the ribbon count with 3 firsts and a second. I have 3 seconds, which I think 3 consecutive seconds, which hurts me deeply. And then also Randy with a first, Jasper with a first and a third, Jeremy with a third, also rounding out the third places, Johnny last year with a third, Aaron with a third from the very first year, I believe, and Sam with a third. So, yeah, interesting little look at the records there. So before I jump right into this specific team here, always want to kind of ground ourselves in, what does this prediction mean? Specifically, these are my predictions for least to most likely to win this upcoming year's title. I have screenshots of all of the teams' rosters here, and I'm going to talk briefly about each of those. The one thing that I don't include here, really just for space, is possibly sometimes if some people have some maybe perhaps inconsequential players on the injured list or maybe the taxi squad. We know sometimes those players can end up being important. Also not listed on here are people's draft picks, which, the draft picks can't play for them, but I do understand that draft picks can, be traded at different points in the season, which can acquire them various talents. So that being said, I do think there is something to the fact that people with maybe some more assets can have a little bit more firepower in improving their team throughout the season. But without making the little show here too long, just kind of want to recognize the current state of their rosters with, again, the nod towards the fact that, trades can happen and all that good stuff. But anyways, as it stands here, I would say the 12th ranked predicted team by me is Zach. Sorry, Zach. I also ranked you 12th last year as well. I love you. I'm just really basing this off of the team here. I would say definitely you're in a much better shape this year than you were last year, as you've kind of started to round out with some young talent here. The draft picks are definitely helping out here as you kind of build these things out. But you've got Justin Fields as your starting QB. He's a little bit of that cheat code with, being the rushing quarterback. You also drafted Jackson Dart, and I believe you drafted him a little bit earlier than a lot of the mock drafts, and so interesting move there. I like it because, we know how valuable those super flex quarterbacks can be, and you definitely needed another quarterback. Love the pick for Jalen Milroe. I'm not surprised that you got another Seahawk on your team here. Some other highlights that I see, of course, we've got Pacheco. We've got, let's see, Ramondre Stevenson, Tanks Bigsby, Jacoby Myers, Pittman. Yeah, so again, I think this is looking better than it was in previous years, but if I had to pick a team here that I'm thinking least likely to win, I'm sorry, Zach. Right now, I've got you here at the 12th spot. Coming in at number 11, and this is, in full transparency, a bit of a drop. I don't think he would have expected to see his team so low compared to what he's done in previous seasons here. But I have Aaron here at 11th. Aaron does have some solid players kind of sprinkled throughout his roster here. Stroud, Love, so he's in a pretty decent spot with some good young quarterbacks. So very solid there. Drake London, a highlight in the wide receiver room. He's got some, just strong players. Debo, RJ Harvey was a big running back selection for him. I can't remember where he took him in the rookie draft, but I do remember wherever it was a little bit of a whoa, that was early for RJ Harvey. But look at this guy here. RJ Harvey definitely did get a lot of buzz here, but I do remember that being kind of a noteworthy pick. He's also got Bryce Young, and so he definitely has options in the QB department. I am just kind of looking at the rest of the roster here as we take a, oh, Hollywood Brown is out there, Luther Burden, also Tank Dell, noteworthy addition on the injured reserve, as well as Jonathan Brooks. So, depending on if they can come back and they're healthy, they can definitely make an impact there. Maybe this is a little bit too low for Aaron, but as I was thinking about just injuries and his ability to, plug some guys in off of the bench, seeing some weakness there, especially as we take a look at some of the other teams ahead of him here. So, a little bit of a surprising drop having Aaron at 11, but that's what I've got. Next up at number 10, I have Brian, and I was surprised as I kind of did my research here. I was thinking originally I was going to have Brian a little bit higher, but again, once I kind of dove deep into it, I was really impressed by some of these other rosters. All that to say, I really think that's just a compliment to the entire league as these rosters kind of take shape here, because even a team like Brian's here, which I do think is pretty solid, and I'm going to talk about it. It's just a competitive league right now. I think a lot of people are really in the mix, which is pretty exciting. Um, you could convince me that any of these teams, in this 10 range and up, are certainly playoff caliber teams, and it's really going to be very, very close, especially as we remember that we have the addition of the extra game against the median this year, which is really going to kind of allow those teams that really are strong and well-rounded to have that much more likely of a chance to make the playoffs and to put up strong records because of that extra game against the median. All that said, again, I have Brian here at 10. He has a little bit of an interesting looking roster coming out of the draft here. Obviously, not all the way put together as we get closer to the season here, but some highlights. Brock Purdy and Aaron Rodgers at the QB and Superflex, kind of weaker in that spot. Purdy, right, wide range of outcomes for him, and then Aaron Rodgers, almost certainly in his last year. So he is definitely looking for a quarterback here, an additional quarterback. The rest of his team, looking pretty solid. Huge highlight for Brock Bowers. Incredible pick by him in last year's draft, which paid dividends right away. Definitely Brock Bowers, one of the most valuable pieces in all of Dynasty Fantasy Football here, just killing it, especially in our tight end premium league. Kyren Williams, great running back for him here. He's also got some highlights in Calvin Ridley. The bench, I think, is looking a little bit shaky, which is probably a big reason why some of these teams are rated a little bit lower here for me, just in terms of thinking about what can they do in the long season when you have injuries, you have bye weeks. Looking a little bit shakier there. Definitely guys you can plug in, but maybe a little bit less in the depth department compared to some of these other teams here. Also a highlight on the taxi squad, Michael Penix. So he can plug in Penix into one of these QB or Superflex slots. I would probably expect him to do so if he is looking to be as competitive as he can here. Moving on to team number 9, I have Jasper at number 9. Also, kind of a surprisingly low ranking here for me. Before I kind of dove deep, I would have expected Jasper to be at first glance, just by the name recognition, Jasper, strong fantasy player all the time, former champion, as we talked about. Just a strong player here. But again, just stacking it up based off of the rosters here. Some highlights with Joe Burrow, Derrick Henry in his last couple of years, but he doesn't look like he's slowing down. Bucky Irving, incredible pick for him last year. So huge shout out on grabbing Bucky there. And then McLaurin, Devontae Adams, again, kind of in the twilight of his career, but definitely could be solid for the Rams. Cooper, Mark Andrews. Jonnu Smith was I think he was like a top 3 or 4 tight end last year. So crazy catch there for Jasper last year. Looking a little bit shakier. Right now he's got Tajay Spears in the Superflex, but I think that's probably going to be Matthew Stafford, or maybe Tyler Shuck. If Tyler Shuck ends up being good for the Saints, we'll have to see about that one. Some interesting highlights, some rookie players. DJ Giddens, I see as an exciting player. I also see, let's see, Christian Watson on the bench. I would expect him to be getting some playing time for Jasper. So, anyways, also JJ McCarthy on the injured reserve as well. So he is building out some QB depth there. JJ McCarthy, huge wild card. If he is good, that could definitely put Jasper in range of being a lot higher than number 9 here. The rest of the team's looking, pretty solid, and add JJ McCarthy to that. Some good options for Jasper. All right, my favorite prediction of the cast here is Sam at number 8. Now, I think Sam really, really, really thinks that he is a playoff caliber team, and he might be. I think I could see Sam possibly maybe as high as 5, maybe 6. We're going to have to see here, but he hasn't done it yet. He has no accolades whatsoever. And you're going to have to earn it before I rank you a little bit higher here. So, Sam, I've got you at 8. It does look like he's got a solid roster here. I love his QBs with Justin Herbert and Bo Nix. Go Ducks. Well done, Sam, collecting all of these. He also added Tua in the offseason. So there was a trade with me, picked up Tua. So now he has an additional quarterback to play during bye weeks and injuries and all that good stuff too. So that's pretty important for making sure that you always kind of maximize those QB and superflex spots. Travis Etienne and James Cook as running backs, Puka and Malik Neighbors, as well as Travis Hunter. Wow, look at those wide receivers. Those could be probably 3 top 10 wide receivers, if not maybe top, 5 or 6 wide receivers right there, depending on where Travis Hunter is. So that's very exciting. Tyler Warren could be really great at tight end. We're just going to have to see. That was definitely a coin flip this year's draft in terms of Loveland or Warren. And he's got some good options on the bench, too. I mentioned Tua. Cam Scadaboo could be good. Quinshon Judkins is going through some legal trouble. We will see how that goes. But that was a big running back selection, as well as Trayvon Henderson. So definitely stocked up on some running back depth, which is always important. He's also got Emeka Egbuka and some other players to kind of round that out. So looking kind of solid here. As I said, again, this could possibly be, maybe in the 5, 6 range. But I've got him at 8 because he has to earn it. Coming in at number 7, this was our 3rd place team from last year. So this is a bit of a drop for Johnny. And again, it really kind of comes down to what I think some of these other teams are starting to put together rather than what Johnny has put together here, because this is a competitive looking roster. His starting lineup is definitely as competitive as it gets in the entire league. I think right here and why I landed on 7 is, Johnny's been pretty fortunate with the injury bug and with all of those kind of things. I think even Johnny would be the first to admit that he is on the tightrope here. He's just like definitely 2 injuries away from, a huge drop, because that bench strength is really just kind of not there for him, as he's pushed a lot of these chips into building really the starting lineup that he has here. But it is a very good starting lineup. Lamar, Kamara, Hubbard has been great. Higgins, probably the best wide receiver maybe ever. Cooper Flagg is great as well as Addison, Kelsey, Russell Wilson, probably getting the start in New York here, or we'll see what goes on with Jackson Dart there, Stephon Diggs. So anyways, that starting lineup, extremely competitive. I definitely see him being able to win any game at any time when all of those guys are healthy. But again, I think the reason why I kind of have this a little bit lower is, as we know, generally speaking, players are not healthy all the time, and there are bye weeks. Imagine having injuries and bye weeks at the same time. I think that luck is going to start to run out if I have to make a prediction, but we will see. Again, Johnny is just as competitive as anybody, definitely a contender if he stays healthy. At number 6, so this is the first of the playoff teams, and I am just as surprised as any of you. This is a huge leap, but you know what? You got to have some fun with this. You got to make some big calls, and I am not afraid for a hot take here. I have Lee at number 6. Look at this lineup. Again, when I started looking at all the lineups, I was like, okay, Lee, things are starting to come together. So unless, the curse, which is very real, continues to kind of hold the lead back. I mean, look at this lineup. He's got a strong QB with Caleb Williams and Cam Ward, so he has the last two number one overall picks in the real NFL draft holding down his QB spot. So very impressed there. Chase Brown, absolute revelation at the running back spot, as well as David Montgomery. So just strong veteran presence. Huge hit in both wide receiver departments in the draft last year. Brian Thomas and Ladd McConkey, like, hello, like, this guy's killing it. Look at these selections that he is making here. He got like a top 5 or 6 wide receiver with Thomas, and McConkey is right there as well. Matthew Golden, I think, was a really strong pick. I will just share, in my own draft research, I remember agonizing over the pick that I had because I was thinking about, should I go with Matthew Golden? And I went a different direction, but he ends up on Lee's team. I'm impressed there. Freiermuth is solid. Caleb Johnson could be a very strong pick at the running back spot. I like that he's got an extra running back because you always need those as they get a little bit banged up and, bye weeks and all that kind of stuff too. I think he's got some okay options on the bench here that he can kind of, plug and play as needed. Deshaun Watson is still there. Who knows who he could trade Deshaun Watson to? I think that's the main thing. If he ever gets that guy off of his team and lifts the curse, wheels up. Lee can make some moves here. But again, exciting future coming together for Lee. And major kudos because, like I said, these draft picks that he has been making while his team has been struggling over the last couple of years, like, kudos where kudos is due. He is hitting on these picks for the most part here. So again, I've got Lee at number 6. Very impressed. Coming in at number 5, this might feel like it's a little bit low here, but again, I see some very strong teams up in this top 4 here. I have the 3-time champ Anthony coming in at number 5. All respect due to Anthony here, but again, I see some very strong teams up ahead. Anthony's got a strong squad, and if you look at what he's doing with his team right here when I took these screenshots, obviously he doesn't have his main lineup in there as he would be most expected to be starting, probably Mahomes as well as Dak in the QB and Superflex spots. He's got Omarion Hampton, who was a second pick this year. He's got Saquon. He's got Swift. He's got Harris. He has Tyreek Hill, Chris Godwin, Sutton, Nico Collins, Garrett Wilson, James Williams, Hawkinson. I mean, Anthony's loaded. And then all of those guys that are currently in the starting lineup, we've got Kirk Cousins. Maybe he turns into something here this year. A team always needs a quarterback, so he could definitely get some starts. Isaiah Likely could definitely be, a top 10 tight end option. So, I mean, it's definitely a solid squad here. Definitely has the capacity to win a championship. He's definitely proven that, as most of these guys were ones that have led him to championships here in the past here. Again, this is just kind of a nod to what I'm seeing as a very strong top 4. Coming in at number 4, Brandon, looking very strong. Very similar strategy to Johnny, has pushed a lot of the chips into the middle with the draft picks to build a very strong roster today. And if this roster stays healthy, it can definitely win a championship. This starting lineup can win any game, any week. So definitely I see the path there really comes down to health. And, luck, of course, as always, in fantasy. But look at the starting lineup. Hurts, Jahmyr Gibbs, Kenneth Walker, JSN, incredible Seahawk connections there. DJ Moore, Devonta Smith. I can't tell you, just for the whole league to know, how many times I have tried to trade for JSN and Devonta Smith, and Brandon's not having it. So kudos to Brandon there. Kyle Pitts, not really. If Kyle Pitts ever turns into something, like, watch out, because this team is looking very solid. And actually, if Kyle Pitts realizes his potential somehow as a top 3 tight end or even top 5 tight end, that is going to make this a very dangerous looking team here. You've got Tony Pollard, you've got Kyler Murray. You also have some options that he can plug and play off of the bench. Guys like, Benson, Quentin Johnston, who I've heard really good things about this summer. Mechie, Rashad Bateman, Dawson Knox. So he's definitely got some options here. A little bit less draft capital compared to some other teams. I know I didn't really talk about the draft picks. It's not really on here. So maybe a little less flexibility if he were to experience some bad injury luck or those kind of things too. But if he stays healthy, this is a championship caliber starting lineup, no doubt whatsoever. Coming in at number 3, your reigning champion, Randy, who came in basically out of nowhere this last year. I'm not sure if he was a playoff team the year before that, but or maybe fringe at best. But definitely made some offseason moves and won a championship. So got hot at the right time. I believe he only lost 1 or 2 regular season games and then was really, really hot in the playoffs. And that is how you win a championship here. So definitely a very, very strong lineup. I can say firsthand that that connection Baker Mayfield to Mike Evans won him that championship. It ripped me in half in the finals there. So very strong connection there. Seems like Baker knows where he wants to throw the ball, and Randy is definitely benefiting from that. He's got Bijan and Connor, so definitely feeling very strong in the running back department. He's also got Rice and Olave. Trey McBride also ripped me in half in the finals, and so he's killing it. He's definitely a top 5, if not top 3 or 4 tight end for Dynasty. He's got Kittle. He's got Goff, who is just not quite as flashy, but he just puts up the points week in and week out. So doing very, very well with Goff. He's got a great bench as well. He can plug in so many of these players. He's got Mixon, DeAndre Hopkins, Keenan Allen, Pickens. Yeah, he's just solid. Very, very, very solid. Has great bench depth. And then again, if Baker keeps throwing 3 touchdowns a game to Mike Evans, that ceiling is definitely there as well. So well conceived roster construction for Randy here. Definitely a contender. Coming in at number 2, I have the guy that's just right there knocking on the door. I don't think people realize how close Jeremy came to winning the championship last year. If I hadn't beat him by just a couple of points in the semifinals, he would have beat Randy in the finals, and so he was just right there. But Jeremy coming in at number 2 here. He's also made some offseason moves. He acquired Trevor Lawrence. He's still got CMC, so if CMC stays healthy and does what we know he can do, that's incredible. Jonathan Taylor, wide receivers, crazy strong. CeeDee Lamb, Amon-Ra St. Brown, DK Metcalf definitely has 2 wide receiver 1s, and then DK, probably that wide receiver 2 territory, but he's in that wide receiver 3 slot, so very strong there. Sam Laporta was the tight end 1 as of last year, had a little bit of a down sophomore season there, but definitely can bounce back. Also, they changed offensive coordinator, so we'll have to see, how that might possibly give Laporta more targets in a different style of offense here. Evan Ingram right there. Geno Smith now starting for the Raiders, so we will see how that goes. Definitely, Pete Carroll likes that Geno Smith connection. That's really kind of a weakness for Jeremy's team here. I know he got Trevor Lawrence to really shore up that QB spot. That should help him, I think, because that'll be a big one for him. But Geno should be solid there. The rest of that lineup, though, just looking very, very strong. He's got some highlights on the bench as well. Just looking like a strong team to me. Also, shout out to Darnell Mooney for floating through time and space for like 3 years after I traded him to Jeremy to like rip me in half for like 50 points in some random week last year that cost me that game. So shout out to Mooney there. Yeah, Jeremy looking very strong. I've got Jeremy at number 2. All right. Well, I decided to try something new. I haven't tried to give myself the number 1 slot here, but in the past, and so I'm trying something new because I'm really trying to pull out all the tricks to see what I can do to win because it's just not working out for me as I have 3 second place finishes in a row, and I'm getting pretty tired of it. So I'm gonna give myself a number 1 here. Feeling pretty solid. I was excited about the Jaden Daniels draft pick last year. I remember I agonized over Daniels versus Neighbors. I don't think I could have gone wrong because Neighbors also was fantastic, but very excited to have Jaden Daniels holding down the Superflex spot. Got Allen. Running backs, not feeling super crazy confident about because A-Chain's a little fragile and Jacobs is a little bit old. I do have some options on the bench. I've got Dobbins, I've got Breece Hall, I've got Warren. Wide receiver I feel really good about with Chase Jefferson and Brown. I'm struggling hard with these tight ends. I have high hopes for Kincaid. I have high hopes for Colston Loveland. We shall see. I need them to hit. They will be very important for me. and then Genty there in the flex spot. I think the bench is a strength of mine because for the most part, I can put in what would be starters for most of these other teams in the league here. You plug and play them into any of these bench spots here. If Drake May and Anthony Richardson, those would probably be two starters for a lot of the teams in the league, especially the bottom kind of ranked teams. So strong QB options, younger options kind of across the bench. And then as we kind of mentioned, if needed, could make some additional trades here as I feel like they've got a lot of assets for the most part here. So I'm saying I'm going to take it this year. I know that sounds kind of ridiculous thing to say. I'm making a podcast about how I'm going to win this own championship, but you know what? I'm throwing things against the wall. We're going to see what happens. I'm going to make that prediction, and we will see what happens. All right. Last but not least, I just want to kind of take a look at how my predictions will kind of stack up against the actuals from last year. So again, on the left side column, we can see the actuals from last year, where we have rankings of Randy, first place, me at second place, Johnny third place, and then kind of down the list here. So based off of my predictions, you can kind of see who's rising, who's falling. Some noteworthy ones. I see Jeremy with a 3 placement rise. I see Lee with a 5 placement rise. Again, I'm very excited with what's going on with Lee's roster. Big dropper right here I see is Johnny dropping 4 spots from 3rd to 7th. Again, I think this kind of comes down to health, longevity, whether or not his team can stay healthy, because it could definitely finish higher. It's definitely a championship caliber kind of team if it stays healthy. But I'm going to say the luck runs out here. So I've got Johnny dropping a bit, and then everyone else is kind of really just kind of a shift of a spot or two here. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed. I would love to hear some reactions. Would love to see some banter going on in the chat. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Is there anything blasphemous? Is there anything that you'd like to see different from future versions of this? Do you want to make your own? Do you have any questions on how I do this just in PowerPoint and using the PowerPoint thing? Because it's pretty much all in PowerPoint, so it's quite easy. And I'll even give you the slide deck if you want it, and you can just plug and play with your own, people and rankings and everything. So I pretty much built it for you if you're interested. But anyways, again, hope you all enjoyed. Hope you had fun. Hope you're looking forward to this upcoming season. Should be a fun one. And I will talk with you guys later.